Hey everybody, I'm your host, Allie. I'm so happy you're here. I want you to know that this podcast was designed to self-affirm and redefine all things you. The phrase I am has the power to define every part of you. Let's jump into this week's episode to discover your I am. Hey everybody, what's up? We are here on another episode of season 3 this week. I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm your host, Allie. I am the host weekly of this podcast, I Am Lifestyle. I'm also the owner of the brand and CEO. I'm so excited you guys are here. We are diving into some great new topics this week. And so without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, everybody, if you're watching from YouTube, hi everyone. There is a visual aid. If you don't want to just hear my voice behind the mic, you can tune into our YouTube channel and watch a little bit of the video. So if you're watching on YouTube, guys, today I'm wearing my Radiant sweater that you can purchase online. It is from I Am Lifestyle. It was in our Optimist / Radiant collection, and I am so excited. I'm also wearing our little I Am hat. That was a part of our traditional collection that we had when we published the book. I also do have my book right here. If you guys want, you can buy my book online on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com or even my website. So a little bit of a plug, and for all of you that are seeing me right now on the camera, that's my little look today. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I hope you're having an amazing week. We are going to be talking about something that is super exciting, and it's dreams this week. We're talking about dreams, how we're making them, how we are going to achieve them, and how it starts first with taking small steps that lead into big moves. So that's our title for this week on our episode is Small Steps Making Big Moves. So let's talk a little bit about exactly what that means and how we can take daily small steps to make for big future moves. Okay, so I know that if you're like me, you do a lot of different things and they're always random. Sometimes they correlate, sometimes they don't. You know, for me, it's like, awesome. I love social media, so I work and I do marketing, and I love PR. That's what I got my degree in, so I love connections with people, but I also love fashion, so that's why I used to own a clothing brand that now I make clothes through this brand, but I have a huge passion as well for people, and that's why I have this brand. I also love other activities that I do and connecting, and so there's like so many different aspects of just me, Allie, right? And that's a big reason why I kind of got into rebranding into a lifestyle brand, because when I used to own just a clothing brand, I was like, I'm a little closed off to just doing clothes. There's so much more to me than just the fashion part. And so I wanted to create a brand that allowed all of me and everything that I love to kind of be in the brand as well and reflected in that. And so when we're talking about taking these very small steps that make big moves, I think it's really kind of starting with like, who are you as a person, and like, what do you really enjoy, and what are things that really excite you? And they can be completely different. Some of you might be really into, who even knows, like fitness, okay, for example. Some of you might like be super passionate about that, right? But then there's other like underlying passions of maybe like acceptance or people, or making sure that everybody feels worthy and that they can be truly themselves, right? So with that, like maybe you'll start a gym, or maybe you'll start like a cool gym fashion line that makes people feel really appreciated and loved and accepted and beautiful in their own skin while wearing your product, right? So it's really cool to kind of see that you can have a passion and love and drive for all these different things that can actually really fold into a beautiful story that can actually really correlate. And so I want to talk a little bit about, what do these small steps look like? I think for me personally, I am somebody that's very goal driven and goal oriented. However, it's really hard for me personally to sit down and write like a 5-year goal. Or like a 10-year goal or a 10-year vision, right? I can definitely sit down and tell you an idea of what I would love to be in the future, or what I would love to be doing, or maybe an idea of where I would like to live, or the people I would like to be in my life, right? But I can't tell you in 5 years that this is what I want to do, this is what I'll be doing, this is the amount of money I'll be making, and these are the people I'll have in my life, right? I know that some people are super goal driven like that and they can be on it. I'm more of a person that's like, gosh, I think in 5 years, I would love to be my own boss. I would love to work for myself, and I would love to be doing a job that creates an environment for me to be passionate and excited about what I'm doing, right? Okay, so that's a pretty good 5-year goal, but I can't give you those specifics, right? Quite yet. And so that's where the power in the small step really comes in to drive into that bigger vision for your future. So for me, knowing that, awesome, I in 5 years would love to like be my own boss and like work for myself, right? Then that takes a small step of cool. Let's see what that independence looks like. Every day I can wake up and say, okay, Allie, how would you envision being your own boss? What does that mean? What are little things right now that you can do while you're working for somebody else to still kind of have those characteristics of being my own boss, right? What are those small things of entrepreneurship that you can still tie into your everyday job that you're working for somebody else, right? That's why I love owning this brand on top of working full-time as a marketing manager, because I genuinely still have that passion for entrepreneurship. And because I have that passion, it'll stay in me and anything that I do. So those are those small steps, friends, that we're talking about that can lead into future moves, right? Recognizing that I want to be my own entrepreneur one day doesn't just start in 5 years. It starts now. It starts with when I wake up having that entrepreneurial mindset of I'm in control of my future, right? I create my opportunity, right? I am the one that's going to speak whatever I have next in my life into that motion, right? I'm the one that's going to be saying, hey, Allie, you want to be your own boss? Let's do it. Let's grind it out. Let's think about what that looks like. Let's create a vision plan. Let's create a vision board. Let's start thinking about those thoughts every day so that now your mind is an entrepreneurial mindset, right? And then your lifestyle, because your mind is reflecting it, your lifestyle will now reflect that. Even if you don't own a business, an entrepreneurial mindset is different than owning a business and being an entrepreneur. I think an entrepreneurial mindset is somebody that has full control of who they are, who they want to be, and where they're going. And that's a powerful person to be in any workplace, whether that's owning your business, whether that's working for someone else, whether or not that's you still being a student and being in school and learning. It's a powerful place to be and a powerful quality to take on, right? So next, let's talk about something that also is kind of on my heart about this is, what I know for me personally, sometimes I have these big ideas and they seem really like something that's not obtainable. They seem like, okay, great. One day I would love to, let's talk like further future. So let's say like one goal I always have, right, is to be a mom, right? Well, right now in Allie's life, I'm single, I'm 22, and I'm living on my own. So nothing about that screams mom life, right? That could be a big future goal though for me. So I think speaking out those goals and recognizing that that's something you want to obtain in your life doesn't mean that it's not obtainable now. It just is, or ever. It's just that, hey, this is something I'm speaking forward in my life, which is a powerful thing to do. But it's recognizing that I'm not there right now in my life, but it's something that I will inherit. Why? Because I'm so capable and worthy of inheriting this, right? So now what I'm going to do is mentally understanding that one day I want to be a mom, right? I'm going to be super intentional in my relationships. I'm going to be really forward thinking and, hey, I'm not going to waste time with a partner in my life, right? I don't want to just date around with no intention, because my further goal is to have a partnership and to be married and to be a mom and have this amazing family that I could grow, right? I think that's something that would be small steps leading up to that big future goal. I think another thing is realizing that, hey, if I want to be a mom, what does that mean internally of like goals that I want to have, right? It means that I want to create a community. I want to create a family. I want to have that family dynamic in whatever I'm doing. I think that can also go without being a mom in the present, right? That can really hit home to what I'm doing now and being like, okay, Allie, you recognize that community is a really big thing to you. Tap into that now. You realize that family is a really big thing to you, right? Redefine what that means to you right now, especially now that I don't live with my family. Who is family to me? Is that a feeling of home? Is that a feeling of a friendship that I just created? Is that a feeling of a really like in-depth relationship that I'm in? What does that look like, right? That is rewording those small steps in your life that you can take to now visualize a big future. That is so obtainable for you. I kind of want to make sure that we all are understanding that those big goals we don't need to be scared of. We need to realize that they actually start every day in our patterns and our habits and our speech and just our routines. I think something really powerful too is knowing that, hey, even if a goal is really big and it does scare you, That's an amazing place to be. Fear, I think a lot of times we talk about as this really negative thing. I don't think it needs to have so much negativity though over people's lives. I think fear is a negative thing when you allow power over it in your life. Let's pause on that real quick because that can get pretty deep. Fear is only a negative thing in your life if you allow power over it and worth in your life, right? I think fear can be actually a really cool thing sometimes because it shows us that we're maybe dreaming really big, which is a great thing to do. I think it shows us that we're being a little courageous, right? That we're being brave, which are all things we should be. I think those are all things that help us grow, right? So let's redefine fear first and foremost, and then let's set those goals, right? I think it's an okay thing to not know all of your goals. And like I had said before and talked about, it's okay to say, I'm not sure what I want to do, but I know that when I'm doing it, I want to feel joy. Okay, perfect. Let's pause there. What does joy look like to you? What does joy feel like to you? What does it sound like to you? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Okay, all of these senses we're tapping into, right? Because if we can tap into what joy feels like or looks like, we can visualize it every day, right? So that then when we're in our future and we're feeling that, we can be, I manifested that years ago, right? I knew that was something I was going to inherit because I visualized it. I felt it. I spoke it over my life. I spoke it to other people so that they could hold me accountable. So that one day in my future, they could say, hey, have you felt that joy yet? Have you tapped into that? Because we talked about that and that was important to you years ago. So I'm hoping it's still important to you now, right? I want to hold you accountable with that. Friends, I think that's really important to tap into is when we're talking about these big moves, it starts with those small steps. I want to use an example personally in my life. I recently just signed up for a marathon, right? Marathon was something I wanted to do for a while now. I put it on my vision board. It was something that I was like, you know what? Let's push myself to do something that I thought I could never do. Running is definitely not the easiest thing. I've grown to love it, but I used to absolutely hate it. I think signing up for the marathon, right, is this big future goal of awesome, I'm going to run it in May, right, which is months from now. But how am I going to prepare for that, right? So that goes into the power of the small steps. If I sign up for a marathon and I never train for it, do you really think I'm going to be successful when I run it? No. I've got to start training for it now. That goes in running every day, right? Sitting in a plan that is meant to make me succeed while I'm running it, right? But then I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I think it goes into also realizing, okay, awesome. What am I feeding my body physically, mentally, spiritually to get ready for this marathon, right? When I'm running, am I visualizing myself finishing that finishing line, right? Am I visualizing the feeling of when I run past that finish line? Am I feeling the love and support around my community that's going to be there at that race? Am I listening while I'm running to the cheering that's going on in my head, right? That is the power of visualization. That's the power of manifestation that will lead to a big outcome in your life. I think sometimes we look at people that are really successful, right? And I'm going to use successful in air quotes because that can be defined in so many different ways. But we look at people that are successful and we think, oh my gosh, they're awesome. I want to be just like them, right? And we really, I think, don't recognize the process that it took for them to get there. I also think we don't realize the people that back them up before they even got to the spotlight. I personally believe that there's a lot of power in being in a room before you're recognized as that individual in the room, right? Think about all these people that you think are inspirational beings in your life, or people that you might listen to their podcasts, or you might listen to motivational talks about them, or they might be just a true inspiration to you, right? And you see them almost on this pedestal in your life. You really accept their guidance, you respect their opinions, and you really form your life around them. You start to really accept what they're saying and take it in and make that really applicable for your life, okay? So we look at that and we're like, but what was their opinion when no one else was listening to them? Who were those people that follow them now that never even knew they existed a year ago, right? What are those clothes that you're wearing now that was never even a brand established years ago? What are those words you now speak over your life that if someone else prophetically didn't speak over you, you would have never believed yourself, right? Friends, it's time that we really tap into the significant power that we have over our own lives. And we recognize that in the small things that we do every day and the small words that we speak over other people, the small experiences that we share with people, the just small memories we share, and how that can lead to a lasting big impact in your life. It can lead to a testimony of somebody. It can lead to a breakthrough in someone's story. It can lead to someone being just a person in someone's life that they never thought they would ever have, but they knew that they forever needed, right? All of these things go, I think, a little bit deeper than what we think they would. And that's what I want to challenge you today with today's episode, is realizing, what are these things in my life that I think one day I'm going to get, and then I get there and I don't have it. And then I think, what could I have done better, or what could I have done different to have that? And I think it really just starts with you. I think it really is something that you mentally need to be like, hey, these are things that are important to me, and I'm going to make steps every day now to get that. And you know what? It's okay too if my goal or my dream changes as I'm mentally preparing myself through the months or through the weeks or through the years to get there, right? I think for me, if we go back to the mom example, right? And I'm like, oh, I just want to be a mom, right? Well, let's back that up. Let's think about, what is it like to be a mom? What does that mean? What does that mean to care for people? What does that mean to be literally someone that is so selfless in a process that takes 9 months physically, right? I think something powerful too is realizing that maybe those are mindset choices that I make now in my life to get mentally prepared to be that mom, right? I think this is something that we need to really kind of retrain the way we see our thoughts, retrain the way we see our dreams, and speak them out to people. Because let's talk about another point. We sometimes dream too small because we don't think we can obtain those big dreams in the future, right? So we dream really small, we live really small, and everything's okay because we're crushing all of our goals, but all of our goals are really just mainstream things that we already should be able to achieve, okay? So let's talk about the realness in that, right? So before we were talking about setting big goals, right? And understanding that those are big dreams in the future, and that seems like a really big reach out there one day. But in all reality, you're preparing for it every day, and it's actually becoming a part of you, and you don't even realize, right? Because you called out that big dream in your life, and now you're living it in small steps every day. And then one day you'll hit that big dream and you'll be, oh my gosh, this was here all along, right? So that's what we were talking about before. Let's now back into, what do we do if we're scared of that and now we set ourselves up to just be really minimal? I'm a big passionate person on believing that you should strive for whatever you want to do in your life, for however big that is, however courageous that is, however scary it can be. Reach for the stars, shoot for it. Because the worst that's going to happen is you're going to land exactly where you are right now. And I would hope that you're in a state right now in your life that you don't absolutely hate, that you would be okay being back to. Okay? So let's talk about setting goals that are obtainable and that are achievable, that aren't so out of reach, but aren't also something that's like, I think you're called to more, right? We never want to hit a point in our life where we become so stagnant or so comfortable that we're setting these goals that really are just things that we were already supposed to achieve, right, friends? Let's talk about pushing ourselves a little bit more. Let's talk about setting our minds to think of things higher than we would ever achieve. Let's also set ourselves up in communities for people to speak over our lives and say, hey, I really view you as this. Have you ever thought of yourself as that? Let's start surrounding ourselves with relationships for people that speak life into us when we don't know how to speak life into others. When we might feel that lack of life in us, let's have someone else speak that into us, right? Okay, that's powerful. That's a huge tool that we can utilize in our lives, is when we're feeling like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm capable of doing this, that we have someone there for us that's like, hey, snap out of it. You were born to be this. People love you for this. Reiterate your I ams. Let's go over the redefinition of your life and who you are to people and who you are to yourself, who you are to your community, right? Because we're a lot of things. For me personally, like, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a niece, right? I'm also a full-time worker. I'm a coworker. I'm a business owner. I'm a creative. I'm a friend. I'm a community member. These are all really exciting things, but these are all a lot of hats that we wear, right? And I think sometimes we set these goals that put us in a small box when actually we honestly are living our lives in not a box at all. We were always born to be these creative beings that live in depth. I don't think we were born to have conversations with people that are just so surface level. I think we realistically as humans really want to connect with people and really want to be transparent, but we're scared. So that's where people don't all the time do that. And then the people that do stand out, right? But we were really all born to stand out. So let's tap into what that looks like for you. And that goes back into speaking these big dreams in your life and really recognizing what are things that are achievable for you. And so when I'm kind of looking over my notes, I'm talking about these small steps making big moves. So let's now go back into your everyday life. So for example, let's go back to the marathon example. So for me, knowing that I'm going to run a marathon, right? And I'm wearing all these other hats, doing all these different things, working this full-time job, being involved in my community, having these different relationships. I think knowing though that I set a goal for myself to run a marathon, that I'm going to allow myself to sleep, right? A little bit better. I'm going to maybe not go out late as much and drink as much alcohol, right? Because I know that my body is needing that hydration. I'm going to create a space for me to be able to go to the gym and run and train for this, right? These are all little steps that I'm setting up in my everyday life that aren't drastically different, but they're aware of what I'm preparing my body to go through. They're aware of what I'm about to mentally put my mind through, right? And then in that, we notice that. We speak that into motion and we talk about, hey, I'm doing this intentionally because I signed up for this, because I believed in myself to set myself up for a big goal. You have to applaud yourself, friends, for even signing up, right? For even speaking that out. I want to challenge you guys to have conversations with your really close friends or your family or maybe a mentor or someone in your life that you feel close enough to be vulnerable with. Let's talk about the power behind a conversation of, hey, I think I'm really capable of doing this, but I'm scared. What do you think? Could you ever see me doing something like that, right? Yeah, let's talk about those kind of conversations, right? Let's talk about conversations of, hey, I'm loving what I'm doing, but I'm feeling like this isn't what I'm going to do forever. Have you ever felt that way? Let's talk about, hey, I'm really not enjoying the space that I'm at right now in my life. How do I switch gears? How do I challenge myself to get out of that? Or how about this? Hey, I really don't like where I'm at right now in my life, but I know I need to be there for a second. So let's mentally change shifts. Let's mentally change gears so that I know that I'm in this place that I've been called to, and it's hard, it's lonely, it's dark, but I still need to be here for the purpose that I'm living my life right now. I still need to be here to connect with people in this space, right? That can feel lonely, but that also is powerful, friends. And when we recognize that, it is life-changing because we speak it out. We're talking about, hey, this is where I'm at in my life right now. You're giving that feeling, that season of life, whatever, a name, which is what we talked about last week. And you're recognizing that this isn't forever, but this is where I'm at right now, right? That's when we can start to really set those big goals, those big moves. And we can say, how can I get out of this? But not, drastic. I'm not going to quit my job tomorrow. I'm not going to break off this relationship, right? But I'm going to make little steps to improve. And I'm going to see how that really kind of reconnects in my life. I'm going to see if that changes the way I view my job. I'm going to see if that changes the way I feel in this relationship. I'm going to see if that changes the way I feel in my community, right? That's what those small steps look like, friends. And that's where the power is behind that. So I want to challenge you guys right now, if you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube, let's talk about visualizing our lives right now, okay? You can close your eyes if you're listening or watching right now and just think about where you're at in your life right now, okay? Think about the amazing things that you've accomplished. Think about the amazing connections you've made, the breakthrough experiences that you've had to get to the place that you're at right now in your life. I want you to sit in that for a second, and I want you to visualize it. And I want you to feel right now how that feels to be in that state. Are you proud of yourself? Are you patting yourself on the back right now because you know you made it? Does that sometimes feel a little lonely because you know you went through that by yourself? Does it feel freeing to you? Does it feel scary because you know that you're capable of doing more than where you're at right now? I think these are all really important conversations to have with ourselves, right? I think it's important, though, to slow down for a second and realize where you are right now in your life and how you got there. So now let's go a step further, guys. Let's keep our eyes closed and let's visualize where you can be. What does that look like? What does that feel like? When you're in a state right now of immense success in your brain, what does that even mean? What are you wearing when you feel that success? Who are you around when you feel that success and you feel that joy and you feel that moment of I made it, right? How does that correlate to where you're at right now? And the reason why I asked you guys to visualize yourself where you're at now and where you can be and where you will be is because I think there's a part of you in the future that can tap into where you're at now. I think so many times in life we say, well, when I make it, I'm gonna, be doing this. Or, gosh, I hate where I'm at right now, but I know that one day I'll be here. Or if I could just get this job, I'll be happy. Or if I could just lose this 10 pounds, I'll feel pretty about myself. I'll feel confident. If I could just get into a new relationship and create a new connection with someone, I could convince myself that I'm worthy of loving again. Right? And we put ourselves in these states. But friends, what happens when we're now in that state and we're still unhappy with ourselves? And we still feel alone, and we still feel not loved and not worthy and not capable? It's because we never recognized where we were in those places of hurt. And we only visualized where we could be outside of it. And we never saw the power of, hey, everything that I want in my future is obtainable now in the space that I'm at. If you're in that job right now and you're feeling like I'm not heard, I'm not seen, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm always behind, stick with it. Keep your chin up. You have no idea the community you're creating. You have no idea the audience you're creating and the people that are seeing you right now in your place of where you feel like no one notices you, everyone is watching you. Friends, that's a powerful place to be. If you're in that relationship right now, or maybe not in a relationship right now, and you're like, how do I feel loved again? Am I worthy of loving again? How do I convince somebody to be with me, right? We don't convince people to be with us or be in our presence. We demand people to be in our presence. We invite people to be in our presence. We allow people to live life with us, right? We never convince. We accept people for who they are in our lives, and we grow off that, right? We create a community off of relationships that we build because of the intentionality we put in them. I think we need to remind ourselves that when you're in that season, for example, if you're right now and you're feeling like, I don't have a partner, I want somebody, I need somebody. What is that partner going to do for you when you're in that and you still don't know what it's like to even love yourself when it's just you? That partner will never do that for you because you never did it for yourself, right? Small steps, my friends, small steps. When you're out of that relationship and it's just you in this single state, visualize yourself with somebody. Visualize the partner you're going to be. Talk over how you want to be a partner in someone else's life. Be that partner for yourself right now. Because then when you're presented with that, you're going to be overflowed with gratitude and joy. And it's not going to feel like a new thing to you. It's not going to feel like a scary place of new beginnings. It's just going to be you because you were prepared for it, right? Let's talk about now something maybe I'm moving to a new area. and I don't know how to connect with a community. And I'm scared about that. I want to create a home, but I have no idea what that feels like. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I just moved. I moved to a new state and I created a new community. I started a new job. I moved into a new place, and it was all a lot going on at once, right? Let's not get overwhelmed by these big moves of, I want to create a home. Let's create those small steps of, hey, I'm going to smile at everybody that I see around here. I'm going to create an environment around me that allows people to feel welcomed, to be in my community, right? And I'm going to feel confident in the community that I've built in myself. And I'm going to find the empowerment of me, myself, and I, and hanging out with myself until I find some other really rad people to live life with, right? It's not a bad thing to be on your own for a second. It's not a bad thing to be in your own skin and feel the beauty in that, right? I want to just reiterate, these are all small steps. It's great to have these big goals, but those big goals won't ever be achieved if we don't start with our everyday motion of just waking up and visualizing who we want to be, visualizing where we're at right now, never passing through the season that you're in now. There's so much power in the season you're in now. Don't lose sight of that because you're looking too much into the future or the past. Be present, be focused, be clear with who you want to be and where you're going, but also be very clear and honest with where you've been and where you're at now. Powerful place to be right there. Friends, I could go on and on about this. I'm so excited to just share this time with you. If this podcast touched you in any way or impacted you, or you feel like it could impact a friend, send it to them. Share with them this message. There's so many cool things that we're going to be talking about in this new season of podcast season 3. And if you guys are feeling excited about what we talked about today, leave a comment. I would love to grow this community with you and see where you guys are at in your life. Tell us how we can support you over here at I Am Lifestyle, and how we can talk about those small dreams and how we can cheer you on for those big accomplishments, guys. All right, we'll see you next week for a new episode. I'm excited. You guys have the best week ever. Alrighty, that was so much fun. But before you leave, if you want to leave us a review, please leave a comment and click the like button on whatever platform you're listening to. If this episode empowered or encouraged you in any way, share it with a friend. I'll see you back here next week with another episode. Have the best week ever.